Now, the one-day game has seen many centuries and even double centuries, but perhaps no player has battled the physical adversity that Glenn Maxwell faced in his innings against Afghanistan. But there have been other one-man acts in 50-over cricket, and let's remember them now. Australia were 91 for 7 chasing 292, but 40 years ago, India was 17 for 5 against Zimbabwe in staring at elimination from the 1983 World Cup. Indian captain Kapil Dev scored one of the finest centuries of all time, and his 175 not out was a world record at the time, and it catapulted India to the world title a few days later. A year later, Viv Richards broke Kapil's record with another solo effort. He scored 189 not out in West Indies' total of 272 against England, and it remains the highest percentage of runs scored by a single batter over the course of an innings. Now, Sachin Tendulkar has a one-day double hundred to his name, but his greatest ODI knock didn't come in an Indian win. It's fondly remembered as the Desert Storm innings, with Tendulkar's 143 against Australia, taking India to the final of the Coca-Cola Cup, which they eventually won against Australia. Now, you can't ignore world records, and current Indian captain Rohit Sharma blitzed 264 against Sri Lanka at the Eden Gardens in 2014. He reached a century of exactly 100 balls. The next 164 runs came of just 73. Now, AB de Villiers' 31-ball 100 against the West Indies in 2015 is the contender, but we have gone for another South African in Herschel Gibbs. South Africa were asked to chase a world record 435 against Australia at the Wanderers in Johannesburg in 2006. Gibbs came in the second over. He scored 111 ball 175. When he fell, 135 was still needed, and the Proteas won it with a ball and a wicket to spare. Dav Whatmore, Sri Lanka's 1996 World Cup winning coach, is here with me in the studio. Now, Dav, last night you were speechless. Many hours have passed. Have you been able to find words to describe what we saw sitting together last evening? And perhaps you could explain to us why the best players in world cricket, both past and present, are calling this the greatest ODI innings of all time.
Well, it was really a case of a hopeless situation that Australia found themselves in. And he began slowly and then accelerated, and then during the course of that innings developed a horrible cramp, which is really hard to contend with, and through that adversity just continued to hit boundaries, and it looked like he was almost like he could have been on a crutch. He just couldn't walk, but still managed to swing that bat from his upper body without moving his legs and connect, not just on the leg side, but also a reverse sweep as well and a lap. It was just mind-boggling, really, and to get 200 runs without running between wickets.
And with the other bloke, his captain, getting just about 12. And I remember last night, you were in fact laughing at the absurdity of the situation. But does this also tell you why Australia rate Maxwell so highly? He can frustrate you, he can fall off a golf cart, he can break his leg playing golf. Perhaps that golf came in handy yesterday when the way he was swinging. But he's a game changer for them, a match winner. They don't need him to fire all the time. But the day they needed him, this innings is always going to be remembered, maybe 100 years from now as well. Said Glenn Maxwell, he scored that 200 when Australia were 91 for 7.
No, I watched that game, or I was at the ground. I can do it. And he also frustrates because if you quickly wind the clock back to that Pakistan game, promoted in the order, first ball he hits it straight up in the air and he gets out and you go, what are you doing? But you take the good with the bad, and the good was really good yesterday.
Okay, let's look at where this stands now. This is where it gets a bit controversial. Who do we leave out? But when we're looking at what a lot of players have been saying about him, and when peers like Virat Kohli, who plays with him in in Royal Challengers Bangalore, Sachin, they all have words we know if we've witnessed a special innings. But when we sort of decode the greatest ODI innings of all time, we have to look at the situation where a particular player's team was. And when that comes into mind, you've got Maxwell there, you've got Kapil Dev, 17 for 5 India, and Viv Richards, because I think West Indies were 166 for 9.
Yeah.
And then he went on to score 189 with Michael Holding keeping one end up, very similar to what we saw with Pat Cummins.
To be honest, the more I think of it, I think the Kapil Dev knock, at that precarious situation where they could have just bowed out of the competition, is worth, that ranks pretty high up there, don't you think? It was a very, very horrible situation, and he just absolutely turned it around. And I think that needs to be looked at as pretty much right up the top, along with Maxwell. Yeah.
Okay, but does it always have to be a knock in a winning cause? Because the Tendulkar innings is again one of those generation-defying innings, wasn't it? The Sharjah knock against Australia.
Yeah.
He took India to the finals and then he scored 100 there and India won it. But in that game, India lost.
That's right. No, the answer to that is no. It doesn't have to be. It's like if you give a man of the match to a player who's on the losing side, and there should be a lot more of those happening, because the player of the match is the one who does more than the others. It doesn't necessarily translate into victories. It's not the team of the match, it's the player of the match. So the Desert Storm one certainly, warrants his name to be in that list. Just like a man of the match doesn't necessarily need to be in the winning team.
Okay, there's also the Herschel Gibbs innings and the Rohit Sharma innings from the modern era. But again, Gibbs in fact was chasing.
Yeah.
It was a world record score.
400.
He didn't take them over the line, but his innings set it up. So how would you sort of rate that and the Rohit Sharma innings as well?
Oh, I think the Rohit Sharma one stands out too, because it's a huge contribution. Gibbs, yes, in some ways you have nothing to lose. We got 400 and plus to get. Let's go after it, and that's okay to say that, but you've got to have the ability to carry on with it. And he had a wonderful, wonderful effort to put them on the road to victory and a world record. So Viv Richard also, what a player, Viv. I mean,
swagger. But man, Maxwell has a different kind of swagger. So we've seen these 5 which were candidates for the greatest ODI innings. Now you have Maxwell coming in. Which one misses out? And for you, it's Kapil Dev or Maxwell. You got to take a call.
I'm going to go with Maxwell.
Maxwell. And which one moves out?
By a whisker.
Okay.
By a whisker.
Because of the physical condition of the player.
Condition.
And who misses out in this 5? We've got to make it 5. So
perhaps Herschel Gibbs.
Okay.
Perhaps Herschel Gibbs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pick from Dav Whatmore. Tell us what you think. Go online, use the hashtag AskDav and WION Cricket on our social media handles.